Were there any parts of the whole process that you didn't expect to be so tedious or difficult and turned out to be?
I just didn't have a knowledge of a lot of the printing basics. A book is like 4 sheets of paper, like it's 4 pages. One piece, I should say, one piece of paper folded in half is like 4 frames. So when you're writing a book and you're like, well, I want to have this many pages. I'm creative. I'm going to make as many pages as I want. Well, those really shouldn't be, odd numbers. Do 12 instead of 13 pages. But there were ways to adjust that. We put in a title page. I condensed 2 pages together, but again, that's all doing standard sizes to cut costs and things. You can probably make a book any number of pages you want. You could probably do a half hardback, half soft cover if you want to spend the money on it. But just realizing the physical printing aspects of a book were definitely something I had to realize and work around the most.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've talked about this a number of times now, between, the old interviews that we were doing and even, the new official podcast episodes. But like, it's funny uh, how like the printing world kind of has its own language, and
Yeah.
and it seems like printers don't really have a lot of patience to explain themselves to like the general public or even to like businesses or whatever.
Or
and
like your
and that's
coworkers, your
right.
friends.
Well, so that's no, like that's where like we came in. We decided to step in and take that niche, that like that middleman role, that we decided as designers, people that we would have to communicate to, printers anyways. Let's just learn the lingo. Let's learn everything about it, and let's just create what we now call some good print. But yeah, so it's kind of funny that you bring that up. Like, yeah, you kind of have to learn like these are the standards of printing. Like that like these one page is 4 pages actually. Folded in half, front back. Yeah, so that I find that I find that funny, but I find it extremely useful because it's why we are what we are.
I mean, without Ray's knowledge of printing and then Pat's and the two of them talking to each other, it would have been a complete nightmare for me, or just a general person, to be like, here's my book, I have the images, and try to give it to a printing company and have it be a mess because this was full bleed and this was partial bleed and they don't know what those terms are. And, your image got cut off and your cover was misaligned from the front to the back if you would flatten it out. And just things like that would have been so upsetting. And, it affects your artwork, for example. So it would have been a huge nightmare without, you know, you guys and Pat specifically being able to speak the language I needed to get him the files and the formats and things that you needed, and that you helped him with, and things like that. Huge, huge benefit, to just working with you guys instead of, say, for example, going to Office Max and being like, here's my file, print this on cardstock, you know, and just not having an end result be something you're proud of, or you're not proud of if you did it that way.